And in this case, I would like to point it out from three possible angles. That is from the professionals to demands ratio, emerging trends in technology, and the ever-changing attack vectors. So from the professional to demands ratio, who is considered a professional? This is something very interesting because very many people have different perspectives on who makes up a professional. Someone would say that someone with an experience of 1 to 2 years does know how to work around certain elements or certain tools, then that is considered a professional. But the funny thing is that in cybersecurity, it's a bit different because someone you can find someone with 5 years in cybersecurity, but that person is not yet considered a professional. So this kind of um, perspective whereby you have some people who are gatekeeping where they tell you that if you're not 5 years, you've not had experience in cybersecurity for 5 years, then you're not considered a professional, then that also tends to bring down the idea that we have a cybersecurity professionals. There's a lack of cybersecurity professionals in Africa because if for instance, if we have to say that a professional cybersecurity personnel should have 3 to 5 years experience, that means that anybody with 1 to 2 years experience does not qualify as a cybersecurity professional. And in that regard, we tend to lock them out. And in my opinion, I feel that is one thing that has contributed to having a cybersecurity skills gap. Then the other point is the emerging trends in technology, whereby you have new attack surfaces emerging every now and then. For instance, I would say the current most used attack vector for now is you can see is the ransomwares, whereby as malware gets infected into your system or rather an organization system, then encrypts the files and they demand payment or else you never recover the files. So looking at that 10 years ago, aspects of ransomware were not so rampant. So with the increasing technology, let's say you have machine learning, you have mobile penetration, especially in Kenya and Africa in general, is actually very, very expanding. So as the technology expands, we have new attack surfaces. We currently have blockchain, we have machine learning, we have artificial intelligence, and every day we have new kind of technologies coming up. So with each technology coming up, we have an area in security that has not been charted upon. And people have not experienced the new technology, have no knowledge about that particular technology, and that makes the hackers, the black hat hackers specifically, makes it a bit more interesting to them because we do not have tools ready or personnel ready to defend this new kind of technology. So that's why we tend to see we have security skills gap in particular areas in technology. Let's say machine learning have gaps, and that basically explains it because the rate at which technology is growing is surpassing the rate at which we are churning out professionals. Then somewhat related to the trends in technologies, the ever-changing attack vectors. And this appeals personally to the professionals who are currently practicing, because just as I gave an example for ransomware, a few years ago, the way a ransomware worked is not the same way possibly the ransomware works today. And that means that as a professional, I have to keep learning. I have to make sure that I understand the latest attack vectors, the latest types of malware and all that. But if I'm not, let's say
Jones? Can anyone hear Jones?
I'm older and I feel somewhat burned out, whereby I'm not able to keep time. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead. We had lost you in a few seconds.
Hello. Oh, sorry, apologies for that. Just as I was saying, the evolving of the current attack vectors make sure that the professionals have to make sure that they stay abreast of the knowledge they have may not be applicable to this particular point in time. And that's not in business. As a professional of more than 10 years, has not been able to expand their knowledge in these matters, feels They are not able to fill in certain positions that attack vectors. And having that, sadly, paint a very grim picture of why Africa is lagging behind when it comes to matters of cybersecurity. One, I would say the cost of training, because I'll give an example of the certified ethical hacking certification. For instance, in Kenya, the cheapest I've seen is around 30 or 35,000 shillings, and that goes for approximately 1 month of training. And trying to churn out professionals who are yet to understand exactly how cybersecurity works, and with demanding cost charges of 35,000 and above, it becomes a bit tricky. And considering Africa is viewed as um, economically poor, whereby we're not able to um, afford certain lifestyles. So when it comes to the cost of training, because I've also come across trainings that are charging more than 150,000. So you then ask yourself, if you are charging 150,000, is it possible that someone who's just fresh out of college, can that person really afford this and you get the experience or the skills needed to get into cybersecurity? Then the other thing is the lack of awareness, whereby this cuts across both the technical and the non-technical, because we feel um, since okay, we have the perception that some of these things just happen in the movies, and as such, they cannot be applied to me. And in fact, I'll always give an example of social media, whereby we just go posting around whatever we come across, whatever personal information that we have, we do share out there. So at the end of the day, without this lack of awareness and understanding as to why indeed this is useful, then it becomes a bit tricky trying to convince, for example, a business that they need a cybersecurity division that is going to be concerned with safeguarding the data in that particular organization. Then thirdly, not enough training institution. Sadly so, because in Africa, we can pinpoint very few organizations or institutions that are offering cybersecurity training. In Kenya specifically, I would say AFRALTI is doing actually a very wonderful job. Then we have Strathmore University, which is also trying to offer cybersecurity kind of certifications and training. But beyond that, we find chunks of different organizations trying to do different things, but then again, is not essentially what we may consider at par or in line with the syllabus or in line with the current trends. Then we have few to know apprenticeship opportunities, and this is an interesting one because yes, we have mentorship programs, but then again, we have apprenticeship programs. For mentorship, we have institutions like ICRAL, which can actually mentor individuals and also offer some kind of training into uh, prolific professionals. But now for apprenticeship, do we have an area whereby I can just go and have, let's say, join that particular community, then observe how they work, then try and gain as much information as possible from them? Then, but when we look at it critically in Africa, we hardly have any apprenticeship opportunities, and I think that ought to change. Then unsupportive legal frameworks. The good thing is that over the past couple of years, we have seen African countries come up with legal frameworks that are trying to safeguard people's data, and in this case, that's where cybersecurity professionals and individuals come in. And some of these legal frameworks have actually been unsupportive because the funny thing is that when you ask someone who is a hacker, for instance, they have that mentality that a hacker is a very bad person. And in reality, is not essentially the point. And also, if you look at, I'll give an example of the police. If you come across a police officer and identify yourself as a hacker, they see you as someone who is evil and someone who likes breaking into things and all that. So we don't have a legal framework uh, as Africa that more or less supports integration and recruitment of more cybersecurity professionals. But I'm happy because some of the African countries, Nigeria, Kenya, are actually making, Ghana also making quite some advances in regards to coming up with frameworks that can support and protect cybersecurity professionals. Then we'll lack a defined career path whereby I get into cybersecurity. We have so many areas of cybersecurity, but I don't know where exactly my strengths lie or what I'd like to do. So at the end of the day, you end up doing something that you're not passionate about, and you get bored at the end of it all. They get burned out, then you leave cybersecurity all in all. Then no opportunities for talent development or gaining experience, and this mostly applies to businesses whereby, let's say you're employed by such an organization, they don't have a criteria or a means in which they can develop your skills. Let's say you went there as a certified ethical hacker, you stay there for more than 5 years, you live still a certified ethical hacker, as opposed to having gained maybe another extra certification and all that. So businesses also have, and organizations also have to come up with a way in which we support talent development and experience. Because also, just as I wind up, we have organizations which ask for entry-level individuals with more than 5 years experience. And that is not realistic, because how will you get the experience if you do not get employed? Let's say you have only 1 year experience, how are you going to get into a job? And that becomes a bit problematic. Then lastly, over-reliance on international certifications. Unfortunately, as Africa, we do not have a standard whereby we can use or utilize to come up with our own certifications. I believe, being Africans, we have our own problems, we understand our problems better, and we understand where the gaps lie. And as such, if we could come up with an institution, a global, an African institution that comes up with standardized forms of certifications for African needs, the African market, then I guess, and I believe we would be moving closer towards breaking the cycle of skills gap in Africa. Thank you very much, Veronica. I hope for anyone who has a question, feel free to shoot after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jones, for the presentation. You've actually exhausted most of the questions that I myself had even to ask you. So thank you. And in the interest of time, I think let's just go straight to our next presenter. She is a cybersecurity researcher at SheHacks, and she's going to share with us, in line of SheHacks objective, what her perspective on the cybersecurity skills gap. Let's welcome Stella Magana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stella Magana. Veronica, I hope you can hear me before I continue doing anything.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I want to share my screen. And is my screen visible, Veronica?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So now, again, my name is Stella Magana. I want to explain from a SheHacks perspective the security skill gap in Africa, and I will want to give a different perspective. Yeah. At SheHacks, we believe the gap the skill gap isn't worsening. We believe that the demand has increased, and that's why we feel the need to have more security experts in the industry. For example, when you look at the different revolutions we've had, from the World War times to the Industrial Revolution, and we are currently in the information age. The picture in my presentation is a picture of a ship that were trying to read a sonar reader, and they'll calculate the triangulation so that they can know the coordinates of the nearest submarine and then shout it to the captain, who will steer the ship to the right direction. Such a person then was hotcake. And because of time and the change in technology, we no longer need such a personnel. So same applies to the cybersecurity industry. Over time, every industry needs a cybersecurity personnel in their team. Currently, we have had industries like the defense, the military defense, the finance, banking, telecommunication, satellite communication. They are the ones that have been actively involving cybersecurity in their operations. And slowly we have seen growing industries such as retail, insurance, legal. We're looking at agriculture because of smart farming. We're looking at nuclear energy, manufacturing that's having smart manufacturing due to IoT. So we see these industries slowly demanding cybersecurity personnel, and because of the way Africa we have had a history of joining in to the bandwagon when the car is already moving. So that is why we are feeling the need. We're feeling the pinch of lacking of security personnel in the industry. That's the SheHacks perspective, and that is why we decided to start early since 2016 to provide a platform, provide an environment where ladies, it's not closed to ladies, but also men can come and grow and share and also network. So I will also talk about the problem. I like how Jones has really explained to detail on the problem of the security gap we're experiencing. And another thing that I just might polish up on is the incomprehensible career development. We find that most people when they leave campus will look for a job, just any job in line with IT. And you'll be lucky enough to get an infosec or a data admin job or network admin job. Then slowly you will digress to entering cybersecurity because it may look appealing. And because of lack of preparation and career career growth path, you just tend to hop from one job to the other and call yourself a cybersecurity expert. So in the long run, you're finding you get a pool of people who have not really harnessed the backbone of the fundamentals of cybersecurity domains. Another problem we're encountering is poor talent assessment. Unfortunately, most job recruiters, most hiring agencies want to just focus on the certifications an individual has gotten and not look at what kind of hands-on skills does this person they're interviewing have to offer for the company. And that brings a gap where somebody is actually qualified for the job, but the company does not get a person to hire because of the poor talent assessment model they are currently implementing. Another one is, the conversation that talks about the IT department versus having an information security department. I believe most banks in Kenya, especially, for the longest have been having IT departments to help maintain systems and databases, and now are having the need to, of course, have cybersecurity personnel. And instead of creating an entire department just for cybersecurity purposes, for information security purposes, they are trying to incorporate one individual to join the IT department to do all the information security needs for that company. And that will become a strenuous, activity for both the individual and the company. That's a problem in the skill gap that has contributed to the skill gap we're experiencing in Africa. Another thing that can be looked at as both a problem and a good thing happening is the increased demand due to the COVID-19. Yeah, we have seen most companies and organizations, not just in Kenya, but all over the world, had to work from home because of COVID-19. And because of that, they have found their systems were not geared towards having that capability. And because they had to shift impromptu, there are so many gaps and uncalled for, and unprepared for interruptions that they had to encounter because of not having cybersecurity personnel in their organizations. So that's what has also contributed to the skill gap. One of the main ones that Kenya we are experiencing is lack of cybersecurity research. Like Jones has said, we have been very over-reliant on international certifications and organization, the bodies like EC Council and the likes, and yet we do not have our own standard way of preparing cybersecurity personnel with our unique needs. So because of lack of research, we do not know the numbers, we do not know the exact questions to ask so that we may come up with the right way forward as a country with regard to cybersecurity. So as SheHacks, we've been around since 2016, founded by Laura and Evelyn Kilel. And because of this, we have a long-term goal to inspire, engage, and empower ladies to harness them and grow them in the cybersecurity space. Because of all these challenges we have just talked about thus far, we have training programs for upskilling purposes. We have weekly webinars ever since the COVID-19 came about. We've been having boot camps. So far, we have done 12 boot camps where we do hands-on trainings, and we have a pool of 20 plus trainers who come and train those who are willing to learn more on cybersecurity. We'll also cover career advancement mentorship that meet target industry needs, because there's no need of creating hackers who are not relevant on the field. So we have that mentoring initiative that we are doing. We also partner with Kenyan companies that offer career opportunities. We do referrals for our members. We have a member pool of above 350 girls, ladies, but of course the numbers are more. And we have also done so many other hack festivals that we're doing our second cohort, our second hack festival this Friday, a virtual one. And these are just some of the ways we are trying to bridge the security skill gap we're experiencing in Africa. And I know there are so many questions we'll cover at the end of the session with regards to how can we be part of the voice that will define how to hire and fire security personnel in the interview process. So that's what I had to share for now. Veronica, back to you. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you so much, Stella. You've detailed much of the concerns that we had. And also I must applaud you and SheHacks Kenya for the great job you're doing. In the next session, let's have Mr. Gilbert Nyandere, who is going to give us a perspective on cybersecurity skills gap in Africa, in line with the ACDF and Enterprise objective. Mr. Gilbert, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so thanks for having me. Thanks for having me and everybody. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I mean, first and foremost, I would say to Veronica and to my fellow panelists, amazing submissions that you've done there, and I'm quite supportive of some of the quite some submissions you've done, and there's no doubt that there's a lot of work to be done with regards to bridging the gap. But I'll just go to, and again, of course, my name, Veronica, is Nyandeji, not, I think you didn't get my name right. So it's Gilbert Nyandeji. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so to me, I think I will focus on three elements. Of course, you said what we do at Innovice. Of course, if anybody wants to know more what we do at Innovice, they can always go to innovice.com. We are a cybersecurity consultancy firm operating across Africa. So we've done a lot of work in that space. I'm also, of course, at the Africa Cyber Defense Forum, which they can also have a look at africacyberdefenseforum.com. And, it will also elaborate on quite a number of things we're doing there. But I'll go deep into, the topic of today so that I don't waste too much time on what we do there. Is that why exactly, to me, I will look at the angle of skill gap in a different manner. Because if you look at the many reports that are there, cybersecurity ventures, you look at reports from, let's say, ISACA, for example. The cybersecurity ventures estimated that in 2021, the gap will be 3.5 million openings of jobs. And the Asia and the Pacific was around, you're talking about 1.2 or 2 million, and of course, 400,000 in Europe. So the gap, but so now that leaves maybe the other parts of maybe Africa as well and the US. But the issue that comes into mind is that when we talk about cybersecurity skills gap, what exactly are we talking about? Maybe I would like to go back in that, because if you'd say today that we are lacking cybersecurity professionals in a country that maybe, let's say Israel, okay? Israel is a country that doesn't have the same realities as Kenya, for example. And Kenya doesn't have the same realities as Uganda. Kenya doesn't have the same realities as Tanzania. Kenya doesn't have the same realities as the other different African countries. Now, to develop my point is this. If you're looking at, for example, cybersecurity professionals who are able to protect automotive cars, for example, then you need people who are specialized in OT, IoT, because now you're looking at the OT, IoT convergence. So I would want people who have hands-on skills on protecting OT infrastructure, right? So that skill, I will need it. Now, I don't know whether somebody who has that scale in a country that doesn't produce automotive cars, how will you talk that there's a skill gap in that point? I doubt so, because there's no way you can say there's a skill gap while the realities of the country are also different. So number one, the countries have to have clear mapping of their economies, because if you're a service-based type of economy, then you will be in need of skills rather, or cybersecurity professionals that are able to offer, or rather to be able to respond to the needs of your country, or rather economy. Okay, that's why I don't want to classify Africa's skill gap just as a blanket. I want us to be specific. And by being specific, we have to understand the realities of every country. Now, that brings us to the angle that most of African countries, let's start from the basics first. Do most even African countries, first of all, maybe majority do not have what we call the national cybersecurity strategy? So when you don't have a national cybersecurity strategy, then how are you going to talk about skills? Right? You don't have this, you don't have the national strategy. Then, I mean, which skills? Which skills do you talk about when you don't have a strategy? I mean, what do you want to protect? You know, and that's why I look at the case studies of successful countries, like, for example, what Australia has done. I look at Estonia, for example, and, you know, my always best case study is always Singapore. If you look at Singapore, just look at what Singapore has done. Singapore has a clear defined national cybersecurity strategy. And in that strategy, they have a clear mapping of, you know what, we want to protect our SMEs, for example, from cyber attacks. We want to protect our industrial and manufacturing plants, because now we are talking about OT, IoT convergence. So we are looking at now maybe people targeting our national critical infrastructure, okay? Then we need to also look, okay, for example, let's say Singapore, if we're having, let's say, retail sector, how vulnerable are they? Then at that point, the national cybersecurity strategy should be the pillar document to guide towards which skills do we need to train on, okay? So that is number one. Without having a national cybersecurity strategy, these small trainings, whatever the certifications are, they are fine. But yes, you've graduated, you're a certified ethical hacker, you come to university, you can't do nothing. So, I mean, it's not about the gap. It's not about being certified ethical hacker. No, it's two different things. It's about being able to exactly what it is, because being certified, having passed EC Council CEH certification doesn't make you a cybersecurity professional. Yeah. And not having the CEH certification also doesn't disqualify that you can be a professional. So I think that's the gap that is there, because sometimes people confuse that being a cybersecurity professional is that you have the certificate, and that has pushed most people to maybe chase certifications without having real hands-on skills, okay? So that is a gap we need to understand. Exactly, if you are looking at what exactly are you looking into? And cybersecurity as well is a wide field. You, Veronica, you know, you're talking about governance, risk, and compliance. There's the technical perspective of it, where you want to be a penetration testing, you want to go to digital forensics, you want to be a malware analyst, you know, so it's a quite variety. So the question comes in, where exactly does the person want to learn their skills to be able to develop their skills in that area and be able to develop more of their skills? So otherwise, instead of just saying a blanket skill wise, we need to know what exactly do you want to train on. So that's number two. So we need to have that. Then number two comes from the alignment. Okay, my point number two. I hope my time is fine. Okay. Number two, number two is alignment. I have only 3 points. The alignment between academia and the industry. There's no alignment. I'll be honest with you. The alignment doesn't exist because the academia, for example, somebody gets into first year computer science graduate. Then once somebody graduates after 4 years, yes, they're computer science. Okay, somebody speaking. Should I stop?
No, go ahead, please.
Or somebody was speaking. I think somebody is speaking. Okay. Okay, thanks. So I'm talking about the gap between the academia and the industry. Is that we look, for example, maybe look at some of the universities we have in Africa. Oh no. I think somebody is speaking. Maybe we can mute them. Otherwise, it's AFRALTI training. You can mute your microphone. Can I go ahead?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so, okay, cool. I think somebody is speaking at the same time, so that's why it's distracting. Okay, so what I was developing the point here was the point of the skill gap, where the industry and academia are totally in not in convergence, where you find a student comes out of the out of university and they're like, okay, fine, we are computer science graduates, but being a computer science graduate, where do you start? So we are not short of cybersecurity, or rather computer science graduates, right? I believe our universities, Makerere's, the Nairobi universities, are producing a good number of graduates. The question is, when they leave the 4-year academic course, what exactly have they left with? Some of these lecturers are still teaching the normal programming language, maybe in assembly or visual basics or Pascal. But now, as it is now, we are talking about OT, IoT, big data security, so when they come out in reality, they have, sorry to say, they have nothing. They just have a certificate. So if we want to build the right skills in the industry, then we have to have that alignment between the industry and academia, so that we have to ensure that we have to even be able to invite, or rather in universities, develop curriculums that are designed with security professionals who are practicing in the industry, who are in reality with what's happening. Because if you talk about risk assessment, I don't know, for example, you're thinking about risk assessment, I don't know any computer science graduate that teaches maybe real hands-on computer, or rather risk assessment in technology. I'm yet to see that. There is none. So they're teaching things that are not in reality with the industry, and that causes a lot of gaps. So that's why most people come out, but they're not employable. And cybersecurity, for you to be able to master, you need to know that it's a learning process. Every single day, new risks come out. Every single day, new topics come out. So you need to be able to learn that. So that alignment needs to be there. Number 3 is the mapping, which I was talking about, is that it ties to number 1, is the angle of each and every country needs to assess. So what we call skill metrics assessment with the reality of the country. So we need to have that, so that at least if we know if you're a country like Germany today, okay? If I am a cybersecurity professional in Germany, and now I know Germany, let's say Audi and the other ones are going into automotive security, automotive cybersecurity. There's no doubt if I'm a specialized in automotive cybersecurity, I'll find a job, because there's that industry thriving, which is in manufacturing and car automotive industry. So my skill will be needed. But if I was to do the same level, maybe in a place like Uganda, or rather in Kenya, I will find myself not employable. So the issue is not about the skill; it's about also that alignment with the skill matrix, that what people are learning and what the industry needs. And with that, I wish to stop there and pass the floor back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. We have learned, myself, I've learned a lot from you. And just to sum up a few pointers that all of you have mentioned, I see we need really to involve the hiring teams as we even try to draft job descriptions for cybersecurity professionals. We need clear mapping skills to understand the realities of every country. And we also need to watch out for teaching students outdated content, yet they are going to deal with the reality of new evolving IT skills or cybersecurity risks. So thank you so much to our presenters. And now this session brings us to the panel discussion. We will first address the questions that are in the live chat. Then from there, I encourage you to keep posting your questions here. Our panelists are ready to address them as they come in. So let me
Sorry,
invite.
I had a presentation, sorry. From AFRALTI, not yet.
Oh, sorry about that. All right, so let's have a presentation from Stephen. Stephen, I'm so sorry and I apologize over that. So give us your view in line with our AFRALTI objective on on today's topic. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Veronica, let me share my screen in a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much again, Rose, for having us here. And also thank you to the other panelists, Gilbert and Jones and Stella. So thank you very much. So as you heard there, my name is Stephen Gashogu. I'm working at AFRALTI. They are dealing with cybersecurity matters. So today or this afternoon, briefly, I want to talk about skills for building a successful cybersecurity career. So that's what you're going to be discussing these few minutes that I have. Then after that, of course, you're going to have the question and answer session. Okay, I actually agree with the panelists there. I don't think there's any conflict about the skills gap, whether it's because the country is not prepared or because we don't have the industries. I think the baseline is there's some gap that needs to be filled, and that one we can see also from the statistics. I'm sharing this one from IC2 Squared from the US, and they reported that by 2019 there will be around 3.5 billion losses due to cyber crimes. So the reason for this is for us to understand, yes, there's a challenge. There's no way the countries can be losing this kind of money, and the systems are securing our system. So whatever the case, we can have the skills, but something is not right. There's a gap somewhere, and that's why you're getting these losses. So the statistics talk about that. Then the other thing I also want to share again about some statistics is about what again ISC did in 2018, and they projected that by 2018 that about 3 million skilled or cybersecurity skilled professionals will be lacking. So that's quite a huge number, and 142,000 in Africa. And we also had a report in 2018 by Serian that in Kenya alone, there will be a shortage of about 1,700. So those are statistics that we've been reading. And there's also some other statistics, this one from the Cybersecurity Ventures. They projected that there will be 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity professionals by next year. So that's quite high. And the reason we are looking at these statistics is to answer the question that I have there. Why should we or organizations be investing in cybersecurity? So the statistics are showing that there's something that needs to be done. Then the last point here that you see, more than 80% of data breaches can be prevented with basic cybersecurity practices. Again, that's from Cybersecurity Ventures, which is quite true. There are so many things that can easily be done, like patching up system, doing some vulnerability assessment that can help prevent or secure our systems. And this is not happening. And the reason why it's not happening is not because you don't have PhD cybersecurity graduates or guys with masters in cybersecurity. It's because people, even in employment, I think the culture is not there. They are not following the security procedures that should be there. There are so many things that are not right. So there's a lot of culture change again that needs to be done to bridge this gap besides the hand skills that we need to be teaching in the universities, colleges, and even in other levels. The other thing I want to ask ourselves is for everybody, let's say in the cybersecurity field, we ask ourselves whether we are doing the right thing or we are in the right role. The question there is, am I in the right cybersecurity role? I put these graphics that you see here. Number one, cybersecurity is for everyone. So that's why you see this, I'm sure you can see that lady and what she's trying to do there. Of course, defending herself using some techniques that can easily be learned without going to the gym for very many years. So there are those skills that everybody needs to learn. So we are not just talking about cybersecurity for administrators, the security administrators or CFOs and CSOs and CTOs. No, there's the entire country and everybody, wherever they are in Africa, in Kenya, they need these skills, and that is still missing. Still, we cannot say that people are now very comfortable with their knowledge about cybersecurity. Then from that level, we go to another level. You can see some police officers here. There's another now higher level of training that needs to be done. Like here we see regular police training to maintain order. So that needs to be there. And not everybody is going to become a police officer. You can learn your simple self-defense techniques that you can use in the street, but that does not qualify you to become a police officer. So there are different roles when it comes to cybersecurity, as some of the panelists have mentioned before. Then from there, we go to another deeper level where we have the military here. So for maybe some aggressions and requiring some more equipment and more skills, then we have another level of security training. And finally, you have the fourth level there that you see of the SWAT team. That's the Special Weapons and Tactics team. And these are highly trained personnel who can respond to any security situation, including protecting, let's say, the president of the most powerful country. So there are all those levels and areas of skills in cybersecurity that we need to be addressing. Okay, at AFRALTI, of course, we do some cybersecurity training and other trainings. And it's important for everybody to understand that if one is building a career in cybersecurity, we don't just focus on the hand skills. The hand skills are the ones that we say these are the ones that can get you the job. Like you can go for an interview and prove that you have certain certifications, you have done some degrees in ICT, and that one can, number one, can give you the interview. Then from there, you can also win the interview. Very important skills there, but those are not the only ones. But before I talk about the soft skills, let me briefly just mention some of these skills. Knowledge information system that you get from universities and college, networking skills that you can get from courses like CCNA and CCNP. There's operating system, learning how to use your, not just to use, but understanding the Windows operating system, Linux operating system, and understanding the internet itself, because most of these attacks are perpetrated through the internet. Then there's programming or coding or scripting. So these ones are required skills. Like somebody might ask, or you may ask yourself, these tools that the attackers use, the cyber criminals use, where do they come from? They are developed by people like you, people who are in this area. So they have a lot of these programming skills, meaning that for you to build a career in cybersecurity, it's not just learning how to use certain tools, not doing a certification or going to the internet, learning certain tools, then using those tools. In fact, we call those ones script kiddies. They can do very big harms to the organization, but that does not make them security professionals. I think that one we need to understand. And my colleague, my fellow panelists mentioned about the skills that are missing. We need to understand, like, a hacker is not a criminal. A police might, or anybody might think that when you mention a hacker, you are talking about a criminal. A hacker is one of the refers to someone who is good, very good at programming. They can program in different programming languages. So the other part of the skills or category of skills are the soft skills. You need to have some analytical skills. You analyze a situation, just like a way in any security situation. You need to understand the situation, analyze it, and know how you're going to respond. So it's not just getting a tool, start using it, running it, and giving you results. You need to have the analytical skills about what happens or what is happening in a situation. And some situation can become very complex. You don't know where the attacker is coming from, what they are doing. You have so many systems in an organization. So all these are, that is a very key skill, writing skills, because once you do your assessment of a situation, you respond, you need to write, communicate. You also need patience. This is one of the key qualities of a security professional, because it's not always that when an attack happens, you're going to go there and in a minute you're discovering that this attack is happening. They are deleting some files, or they're accessing some databases, and it's coming from China or from any part of the world, and this is the person. Now, that's a very complex process. So you need patience to be able to understand that. There's also the interpersonal skills that are required even to maintain your job. So when you talk about cybersecurity skills, yes, hard skills are important, but soft skills are equally important. Very quickly, I want to break down the security or cybersecurity domains here very quickly. This security assessment that you can get from, I'm sure you've heard about my panelists talking about programs like CEH, Certified Ethical Hacking, CISA, that's the Information Auditing Certified Network Defender. So those are certification aligned to achieving the objectives of a security assessment. Then the entire domain about security management, how security is managed. And even for every security program, even the physical security, whether it's military or the police, they are the people who manage. They don't go out to war, so they understand what's supposed to be done, which resources need to be deployed. So that falls under security management. Then there's also the implementation of security. This is where we have programs like, they start from simple programs like, not simple, but networking programs like CCNA, Cisco, and networking, all these. They help somebody to have a foundation for security, because you cannot come from out there and you do a certification, and from there you think you become a security or cybersecurity professional. So you also need to have this broad knowledge about what or the systems that are running there, so that in case of a situation that probably was not covered in your class, you are able to respond to that. Then this other one about laws and digital forensics, like the certified hacking forensic investigation. So those are some of the domains. I don't want to go into details for now. I'm sure the questions, if there are questions, we'll be able to respond to them after this. Then there's something here about whether we're investing your training funds and resources properly. I got this one from Cybercrime Magazine. They talk about the various, the top certifications, and you can see some of them here. Those are some of the courses that people are doing to equip themselves with cybersecurity, skills. Then the last slide I have here is about the cybersecurity pathways. I mentioned earlier that to build a career in cybersecurity, you don't just do one certification or learn some few tools and cause some harm to an organization, and from that you become a cybersecurity professional. I know these people can take some shortcuts. I'm sure you know this gentleman called Mintix. What is his name? Okay, there's this gentleman who is the best in social engineering. I think he spent a lot of Kevin.
Kevin Mitnick.
Yes, Kevin. Kevin, we could say he spent some years in jail, and he's the best cybersecurity guy in the world. He specializes in social engineering. That's more of a shortcut, because what he did is he committed some crimes. He was jailed. Then after that, he was given some jail time to do some community work. That means to catch some other hackers. And after some time, he was released. And now he's the best. But I'm sure even it wasn't really a shortcut, because even for him to do that harm, there were many years of investment. But we need to to understand some networking. We need to understand software development, what I had shown you earlier, the programming, system engineering, understanding systems and programming there. So there are financial and risk analysis. So it's not just again, repeating this, learning how to use a tool to make you a professional, like the financial and risk analysis. It's because we need to understand this attack that happens, how much does it impact the organization in a negative manner? And it's from there that you're able to know how we're going to respond. Are we going to respond using $100 solution, or $1,000 or $1 million solution? So that one will come from the analysis that a professional in cybersecurity will have done. Then from there, you can now go to entry level, where you can become like cybersecurity specialist or analyst, and you can progress, as you saw earlier in my presentation we had, where someone gets the basic cyber defense, or let's say security, self-defense skills. Then after that, they can acquire more skills, and finally they become like the SWAT team. The SWAT team would be equivalent to what you're seeing here, cybersecurity engineers or cybersecurity architect. Those are highly specialized professionals who are able to respond to any security aggression that affect an organization. So I think for now, that is what I wanted to share with you very quickly, so that I can allow the forum to go to the next part. So thank you very much. Over to you, Rose.
All right, thank you so much, Stephen. From the example you gave about the world's best hacker, I think you send a thief to catch a thief.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for breaking down the hard skills and soft skills. Cybersecurity professionals are known of being weak on the other side of the soft skills. So thank you for breaking that down as well. And I also believe we need a global cybersecurity strategy cascaded down to the national levels, and then institutional level, and then individual levels, because this is a collective responsibility. So thank you so much, Stephen, and to the rest of the panelists. You've shared a lot, and I believe our audience are learning. So we are going now to have the live Q&A. I see we have a lot of questions here in the chat, so I would love our panelists. Feel free to turn on your video, or you can also answer without your video, but I'll read the questions and feel free to answer. So we will go, Mr. Kevin Oyuji asked that, so does that mean that every ransomware is designed differently? I think he asked this when Jones was making his presentation. Jones, would you love to take this?
Yes, please. Thank you. Kevin, thank you very much for the question. Is for asking whether every ransomware is designed differently. Ransomware is just simply malware, and I would normally say that every malware is designed with a particular objective in mind. For example, um, if I just want to come and encrypt your files and let's say demand payment, that's just the function, the objective with which I'm going to accomplish with that ransomware. But now, if I wanted, let's say, to have a ransomware whereby it still opens up a backdoor whereby I can get your files, and this actually is more realistic because you've had issues whereby your system is encrypted, then you're told if you're not going to pay this amount of money, then we're going to release your files. So that means that while that ransomware came and encrypted your files, it was also opened a backdoor and communicated with a command and control where your files were being siphoned out. So at the end of the day, it all depends on what you want to achieve. So if you want to, let's say, you just want a virus that, or rather a malware that is just going to move across different systems or different networks, then what you're looking at is a worm. So at the end of the day, once again, it all depends on your objective and what you want to achieve with that particular objective task.
All right, thank you, Jones. The next question will go to Stephen. It's coming from Mohammed Sher. He's saying, most certificate is very expensive. So what are the alternatives in order to improve in cybersecurity skills? Stephen, would you take that?
Okay. Yeah, the reason, thank you very much for that and also for the question. Yes, I think one of my colleagues here, the panelists, mentioned that or alluded to that because the certifications that we have are not Kenyan. There's none, I'm sure that even the ones I listed are Kenyan or African, even to that extent. So all of them are from the US and other countries, US, UK, and other countries. And that's why they are becoming they are quite expensive for that reason. After all, they are even for the developed market, not for this market of ours. So that's why they become expensive. And I would also like to invite maybe my panelists to respond or to add on to that, but it's true, we need to have our own certification here. Like we need to come up with some bodies that can offer good certifications, recognized. Although this is also, it's also an issue of the market. It is the global market. There's competition there. It's not that if we make a certification here is going to gain a global acceptance, or all Africans will be going for that certification. So it's about our competitive as Africa in the market, so that when you come up with something, then it can compete in the global market, and people not only from Africa can be able to certify. There are some people doing some work, but it still hasn't gained the acceptance that we expect it to have. So maybe my fellow panelists, I don't know, was it Jones who talked about that? Maybe you can add something onto that.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Yes, I believe the certifications, yes, they are very expensive, but one thing we normally say is that a certificate only gives you an opportunity to have a chat with the HR. But once you show that certificate, it's no guarantee that it's going to give you a job. But what is most important is the skills that you have, the technical skills that you have. So we've seen that many companies have now moved from paper kind of certification towards more technical aspects, whereby you're given, let's say, a CTF challenge to go and you asked, send your CV, find a way of sending your CV to us. So it's up to you to find a way, the weakness in their system, and use that weakness to submit your CV. So at the end of the day, yes, the certificates are very, very important. We cannot do away with the certification. But then again, also capitalize on their technical skills, because certificate only give you an audience with the HR. Thank you.
Thank you, Jones. All right. So let's have this one. Gilbert can answer. Someone is asking, he's Kevin Oyuji again. So what can a person be able to understand? No, I beg your pardon. So can a person be able to understand all or more than one topic in cybersecurity? Also, is it a must that I become a programmer? Gilbert, would you love to take that?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. Well, I mean, the question that Kevin is asking is quite interesting. Is the question that people always ask, where do I start in cybersecurity? Is always an interesting question. Well, number one, you don't need to be a programmer to be a cybersecurity professional, because there are different, I think the gentleman just broke it down. I mean, if you are in the field, there's governance, risk and compliance, where you can be good at that without having any single programming language. I mean, you can learn and be risk assessment, do the the certification in governance, risk compliance, the ISO certification. You look at a CISA, CISM. I mean, there's less programming skills they always require. So somebody can easily become a cybersecurity professional without having to be a programmer. But if you're looking into the technical part of cybersecurity, then you need to at least have the basics of technicality. And what I mean by this, for example, if you want to be a penetration tester and you don't even understand the Linux file system, then there's a problem, right? Because so the basics must be right. So if you're looking into the technicality, then you must at least have understanding of the basics. I mean, understand the Linux file system, how does it work, what exactly the basic concept of Windows environment. Then from there, you can pick your, you can pick your journey from there. I mean, some people have seen good programmers who came from programming and have become very, very good malware analysts. And I always tend to see, for example, good programmers always tend to be very, very good reverse engineering and malware analysts, because they have spent a good number of time in reverse engineering, understanding a code. So they can be very, very good malware analysts. But it doesn't limit one person from being a cybersecurity professional without being a programmer. No, there's no, the two are not related. It's up to you to decide what you want to focus on. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Gilbert.
I think I agree with the Gilbert there. I think the misconception is that when you talk about cybersecurity, people think that we are talking about like penetration testers. That's not all. It doesn't boil down to penetration testing. As Gilbert mentioned there are so many domains that people can invest in and become and be good at that or in those areas and become a cybersecurity professionals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the addition. So yeah, so next question, I would like to ask all panelists to give their views in relation to our topic today. So what can we do in Africa to narrow the cybersecurity gap? I'll start with you, Stella. Stella, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Just read that for me, please.
In line with our topic today, I would like to hear your views and all the panelists on what we can do in Africa to narrow the cybersecurity skills gap.
Okay. There's so many things we can do, honestly, but I'll just mention one so that the other panelists can have their views taken. One thing I feel we need to do is organizations, as they are, for example, drafting job applications, there's a tendency of the HR personnel just throwing the technologies the companies use and ask that this and this, will be good for the candidate. And with that, they're not even willing to take a person who can be trained, can have transferable skills. So I feel like we should be able to train candidates during the recruitment process. Yeah, that's one of my views and how we can narrow that.
Thank you, Stella. I'll go to Gilbert.
Well, It's very interesting. I mean, I think, so you asking what exactly can be done. I think, you know, if you've gone to conferences or forums, Africans are good at policies, at conferences. We are good at conferences, meetings, but we are always bad at implementation. If you look at, for example, countries like, for example, Kenya, whatever, there's quite already some guideline. Maybe, I mean, here I see now already. Maybe there's hiring of data protection, what I call a DPO, as per the Data Protection Act. But the problem that happens here, I think, where Africans, sorry to say, we always get it wrong, is that we are good at meetings, conferences, beautiful document, but we suck at implementation. So I think it's high time, if really we want to take this to the forefront, then we have to take it seriously. We have to say, look, if it is a country like Uganda, is Kenya, or any country that is maybe represented, how do we really implement, put resources behind this? If we have our youngsters that are graduating, how do we ensure that we have a clearly designed agency that, is just not an agency by the name? I was seeing what the government of Saudi Arabia is doing. They're doing an amazing work. It's called National Cyber Agency of Saudi Arabia. If you look the way they're working there, they're really doing a lot of stuff. I mean, they are even training them, the national SATs. They are investing even in gamifications. It's just you see something moving and people are getting the right hands-on skill. So that it's just not a document and you say, okay, we want to do the skill gaps. But the skill gap, there must be something. We must do something. We must be serious. We must really want to protect our national critical infrastructure. Otherwise, if it is just at the policy level, then it doesn't come down. Then, sorry, it will be another conference. Oh, do this, write this, but it never happened. So I hate the way we approach it in Africa. We sit down, we have discussion, we write policy document, beautiful one, that they collect dust. No, if we are serious, then there are countries that have done it. We can do it. So to me, I think we all know what can be done. So let's be serious. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert. Let's have Stephen.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. Okay, in response to that again, it's a whole concept to me of culture change that needs to happen all the way from the leadership in government to individuals and even to the kids in the primary school. Cybersecurity is not ending today. We are just starting. Threats will not end again today. There will be even more. So from the government, I know like in Kenya, the government of Kenya, through the ICT ministry, they do quite a number of things. They, like the CA, they train the SAT team, for instance. Training is key to success in this area. So they train the guys in the security industry. So they are doing something, and it needs to be continued. We don't need to stop there. Then the ministry, like the Ministry of Education, I know they are also doing quite some work. They are trying even to introduce the cyber. I will not say cybersecurity. Okay, let's say cybersecurity to the CBC, the curriculum. What is it? Competence-based curriculum. So when we, for instance, introduce these skills at an early age, then by the time these kids grow, they go to high school and join colleges, they already understand what needs to be done. The challenge is, I think, the cybersecurity just found us here and we were not prepared. But these young people, they are born in this age where cybersecurity is a concern. And with that, if we are able to catch up, to equip them with the skills that they need at this early age, then I'm sure in future we'll not be having huge challenges. We'll still be able to continue using the ICT resources that we have. Then organizations also need to be serious about security. I had mentioned earlier the culture change. Sometimes we may feel that maybe the data in my organization is not very sensitive. I just collect data about individuals, but now we have policies, the policies, not policies, but laws for the protection of this data. So everybody has to change. Implementation, as Gilbert mentioned there, is also key. Then down to the individuals. the individuals also need to equip themselves with the skills that are needed. And I saw earlier we are talking about the certifications. Yes, these certifications are important, but as Gilbert mentioned, it's not the paper that is important. Otherwise, you're going to have a paper skilled people. What is important are the skills. We need to understand the skills, get the skills there, and once we have these skills, we'll be able to protect our systems. So that's my contribution. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. I see we are almost out of time. I would like each one of you to give me their parting shot in just a few seconds. I'll start with Jones.
Thank you very much once again, Veronica, and the AFRALTI team for setting this up. I feel encouraged personally because in my area of work, mostly we deal with lots of user awareness and training, and it involves interacting with individuals, trying to sensitize them on why cybersecurity is important and how we can make build capacity around cybersecurity. So with such a platform, say we're moving in the right direction. We've been talking about now. Stop talking about what we need to do and start acting. And I believe just as Gilbert had said, it's good that we now get ourselves out of the boardrooms and out of the policy making and now start implementing whatever it is that we intend to achieve. At the end of the day, I normally say Africa, we are Africans and Africa is our business. So we don't have to wait for anybody outside Africa to come and give us solutions for the problems that we own and understand better. Because I would say this, I understand the problems more in my house than my neighbor knows much about my house. So having to know much, how or rather knowing much about my house makes me better and equipped to resolve the kind of challenges that I face. So as my parting shot, I say, let's work together as Africans. We know we have our differences, but at the end of the day, it's differences that make us stronger. And we normally talk about diversity, and diversity is actually very good when it comes to inclusivity. So let's work together and let's advance cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thank you, Jones. Let's have Gilbert, your parting shot.
My parting shot is simple. I mean, cybersecurity, to train a cybersecurity professional, it's about passion. You need to have the passion for it. Don't do it because you hear there's a lot of money to make in cybersecurity. I think that one you'll be doing for the wrong reason. That's a big challenge because most people think it's for the money. No, you must have the passion. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I've been in the industry for quite a long time, is that you have to have passion. You have to wake up every single day and this is what you want to do. But if you just do it for the money, you will not, because it's a continuous learning. So my parting shot, cybersecurity is a continuous learning. Building cybersecurity skills requires one to be able to be willing to be a continuous learner every single day, and never have imposter syndrome. Don't worry. I mean, get into the industry. There are people who are there who are quite open. There's a quite good community that are willing to assist. Just be there, reach out, and they are willing to assist you. Be willing to sit in your keyboard. I always say 10,000 hours, you must spend the 10,000 hours behind the keyboard if you want to be a good cybersecurity professional. There's no shortcut. The shortcuts, I'm sorry, there's no shortcut in cybersecurity. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gilbert. That reminds me of that the ability to learn and relearn is the best way to change yourself and be a superpower in cybersecurity. So let's have parting shots from Stella in a few minutes. Stella?
Thank you very much, Veronica. The parting shot will be to start where you are. Start with what you have. Like, you've been able to attend this AFRALTI Fireside chat. I believe it's been very informative for most of us. And attending any other conference, online, virtual event will really open up your mind, will really open up what kind of career path you can take, because it's so wide. I saw another question that, can one learn every domain in cybersecurity. I remembered, for example, like in the medical field, there's so many aspects of biology. There is the, the brain, the bones, the everything. So can one individual be able to be an expert in all of that? Yes, but there's a but. There's no need to do all that. Just choose one line and run with it. And as Gilbert says, put in the work, put in the hours in it, because there's no shortcuts in this. It's either you know or you don't know, and you grow learning. I believe, like for you, Veronica, it took several years for you to be where you are, and it took the time and the mentorship needed to do all that. So I'll advise, start where you are. If your CV is currently doesn't have much meat to support you, just write what you have done. If it's CTFs, if it is labs, write it down, and just start where you are, because there's this also conversation that in cybersecurity it's so hard to enter. I won't say it is hard. I feel like we are not presenting ourselves as we can and as the best way we should. So that's my parting shot. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stella. And let's have Stephen in a few seconds to give us his parting shot.
Okay, thanks, Rose. Yes, I think we have heard it all. We have seen the statistics, and cyber threats are continuing to rise. So as I mentioned earlier, they are not ending. And today we are in what you are calling the 4IR, or the fourth industrial revolution, where the digital economy is the new order. And there's no way we can survive without having to secure a system. And the more we get interconnected or interwoven in this new order, the more the need for cybersecurity training. So again, I would urge people to go out there, learn these cybersecurity skills. But before that, I would like to share a quote by Bruce Lee. I'm sure you know Bruce Lee. He used to be a martial artist. He once said that, I fear a man who has practiced one technique 10,000 times than a man who has practiced 10,000 techniques one time each. So sometimes this is what is also killing us here. We are trying to do everything in the ICT field, from system administration to cybersecurity databases, everything. And by the end of it, we lack the skills. Actually, we said earlier that there are so many people who have graduated from the university, and even as we speak, people who are looking for jobs here. That's the reality. Yet we continue to see statistics saying that we don't have cybersecurity experts. What's the reason? We don't have those people who have practiced one technique 10,000 times. So that's my parting shot. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Stephen. And I would also like to encourage our audience, regardless of where you are in your profession, you need a mentor. You need a mentor so that you can succeed. And I see our time is out. I would like to invite Mr. Jonathan to give us closing remarks as we wind up. Jonathan, over to you.
Sorry, Anita will give that.
That is Stephen speaking?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Stephen.
No, I said Anita will do that. Anita, my colleague.
Oh, Anita. All right. Anita, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for giving me this chance. And I'd also like to appreciate you for guiding us through the session. We really appreciate your efforts. Asante sana. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this session, and I believe that you had a wonderful time. It is a great pleasure that you had a fruitful discussion from the panelists, though I think the time was very short. In that juncture, I'd like to give our appreciation to our panelists for their excellent presentations and their discussions, especially on the closing remarks. I think someone has captured one or two of the closing remarks and will put in use all that. I really appreciate your efforts. I also like to appreciate the participants for taking your time to attend to this virtual session. I know it is not easy, especially when you are having to do something else than taking your time to attend this session. We say thank you so much. I can conclude that the purpose of the Fireside chat has been completely accomplished. And may you have any questions or ideas that you'd like to input after the sessions, you can write to AFRALTI, then we can channel it to the right panelist who will be able to get back to you. Asante sana. Back to you, Madam Moderator, so that we can close the session.
All right, thank you, Anita. And I would like to appreciate our audience. Thank you for joining us today from the start until this moment. You've been a very wonderful audience. And I encourage you to be on the lookout on the AFRALTI website for upcoming events. They have really nice sessions that are coming up. So be on the lookout on their website. And a big thank you to the organizers of this event. A big thank you to the panelists and speakers. You have given us knowledge and we really appreciate. So this brings us to the end of this Fireside chat, and feel free to disconnect. It is 33 minutes past 3, so feel free to disconnect, and thank you for joining us and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Though I joined late.
Okay.